All right, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Kwanzaa, all that stuff. I just had to make this video and get it off my chest. No yellow hat, none of that stuff. As you can tell by the background, we are going to talk Patriots football. So you may not have realized it, but yes, I'm a New England Patriots fan. I can hear all the boos. Yeah, no sympathy, don't care, right? And then on the other extreme side, there are people who are like, oh, but I'm crying under all my rings. Just imagine rings here, right? But it's kind of like the 1990s, for those of you who remember. You had Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls. They had a dynasty, won 6 rings, right? Patriots won 6 rings. Yes, I'm comparing the two because that's the closest thing we've really had since in sports. Even if you didn't like Jordan or the Bulls, you liked watching them play because win or lose, it was going to be competitive. It's what sports should be about, right? That's why we watch. I'm bringing this up because that time is clearly past for the New England Patriots, with Tom Brady moving on and doing his own thing in Tampa Bay currently, and Bill Belichick and co trying to, get something together that's sustainable. So you had Josh McDaniels, who was the offensive coordinator, and occasionally he leaves the team to go, pursue his dream of being a head coach. You can't blame him. Great offensive mind. It just hasn't really been working out for him as a head coach. He's had massive amounts of talent when he does take the leap. Look at Denver Broncos, right? Before Peyton Manning came, they had so many draft picks with Tim Tebow, and you had these wide receivers, tight ends, everybody's names who's escaped me right now. Demaryius Thomas, Julius Thomas. You had them. Eventually, they end up getting Wes Welker on that team when Peyton Manning went, and bam, Super Bowl contender, dominant team, even against the New England Patriots. So it's funny that after Josh was fired from Denver, he went back to New England to coach against, offensively coach against, the team that got rid of him as a head coach. And those draft picks that he helped garner by having a terrible season manifested to help Peyton Manning. But Broncos were still okay back when Josh was coaching, right? They had some of those skill players then. I say all this to say Josh left. Eventually the Patriots start a run. Matt Patricia leaves. Head coach of the Detroit Lions. He gets fired. He comes back. Now they've got him in this weird role of, senior football advisor, but that's just kind of to keep people from wanting to snatch him away from New England because he doesn't have like a title really, right? It's like, hey, we're not going to bring you back in here just to leave again. I don't know what they're doing. That's the point of this video. I've been quiet the whole season because I don't expect much. Look, Mac Jones is in his second year, rookie. He was outstanding last year. But one thing that sports or not that's evident is when you're young and you're developing, it sets you back if you go from having somebody who's seasoned in what their role is, coaching you up, grooming you up, to someone who does have seniority and experience over you, but not in the field that they're capable of. What I'm trying to say is Patricia, defensive coach, is now doing offensive stuff, and Mac Jones is not perfect. Nobody's perfect, okay? But expecting him to be Tom Brady because everything else is still in place, that's unrealistic. But it's clear that he could be playing so much better, and instead of reducing his mistakes and enhancing his strengths, New England is just kind of, this is what we want you to do, and it's just not working. Obviously, I'm not a coach. I'm not inside and knowing what's going on in that struggle, but I just looked at this Bengals game. Yes, the last game. We're on to Cincinnati and got whooped. We really didn't get whooped. I don't know. Look at that game. We're gonna talk about the whole season, but this game is a good picture of what's been happening. the score does not indicate that they got whooped, but they did get whooped. Okay, look, 22-0 halftime. So they held the Bengals to 22 because what we have. Let's start with the strengths. The defense has been spectacular. Matt Judon, he's been like a sack leader for this team and the NFL for his time here at the Patriots. He was when he was on Baltimore. Josh Uche is emerging. So he's been doing his things. And apologies, I don't have their pictures up here like I do the coaches, but you may know who these guys are if you don't. I say that to say you got those guys. You got Marcus Jones, who's been going from punt returner to also being a wide receiver, but his spot is actually cornerback, and he's been fantastic at that. So the defense has been consistent. They're the one thing that's been consistent. Belichick has always had the defense being solid. I can't say I've ever, although the defense has let them down at times. Look at that Philadelphia Super Bowl. Part of that is, did you have all the skilled players there? Malcolm Butler, why didn't y'all play him? But I digress. Defense, I'm happy with them despite the glaring holes in the defense. And it's obvious that if the defense is doing their job, which is holding, the defense has kept them in position to win all of these games, okay? The offense has been terrible. Special teams has been okay. They've had better special teams, but this special teams has been okay. There's been some gaffes here and there with some kicks and some punts, but for the most part, I'm gonna give grades here. I'm gonna give the defense. I'm gonna give them a B+. I could argue A-, but the season's not over yet. I'm gonna give them a B+. Offense gets a D. Yeah, a D. I want to give them a C for average, but no, they get a D because you go out and spend all this money on a Hunter Henry and a Jonnu Smith. You get Kendrick Bourne there. Now you trade for Devontae Parker. You still have Jacoby Myers, who's, doing his best Edelman, fill in. And you still can't, this season they have talent that I feel was better than last season. And they look a lot worse than last season. And credit to where it's due, you had McDaniels as the coach there. I don't know what they're doing. Matt Patricia at 1-4, this team started this year. They should have switched it up a lot sooner. So there's rumors, hey, they're going to bring Bill O'Brien back. That didn't happen this time, but the rumors are starting again. They're bringing him back next season. Who knows? But the Patricia situation is not working. How do you have Kendrick Bourne out there, and you also have Nelson Aguilar, and you can't get either one of those the ball multiple times per game? Aguilar's not in his prime, and he has heavy drop issues, and maybe you shouldn't have got him. But he's the speedster that we lacked, a couple years ago. And you don't have plays that at least get attention on him so that you do free up the tight ends to do what Gronk and Hernandez were doing. Why are y'all not doing that? I know it's Josh's wheelhouse, but you've done it for, over a decade now. How about just keep those plays in that work? Rarely see those. So Mac Jones gets hurt. You bring in Bailey Zappi. Or maybe his name is Zapp. I think it's Bailey Zappi, right? He looked fantastic up until they tried to use him and Mac Jones, and then he started throwing up a couple of INTs. And they pulled Mac Jones back in. Because Mac Jones, it's still his time. But why did Bailey Zappi look much more comfortable in the pocket and had more accurate throws and was actually going to the tight ends, but yet Mac Jones wasn't? So it felt like Patricia had some issues with Mac Jones. Like Mac Jones was like, no, this is not how we should be doing things, like the rest of the fans are saying. And Bailey Zappi was like, hey, I'm just looking to play. I'll do what you tell me. And the stuff was working for him. All right. You look at the Lions. The Lions look decent right now. They were awful last year with Patricia as the coach. But this year, they're winning games. Now, they do have Jared Goff there, and they had Matthew Stafford, but they look like a better team. They found some strides. They have a winning formula over there. So while I still like Patricia, they've got to move him out of that spot. They've got to move him out of that spot. So, again, I gave the defense a grade. Offense is below average, and special teams, I'm going to give them a B. I'll give the special teams a B. Special teams is one of the things that, as a New England fan, you expect to be consistent. And although the punt game has been a little shaky, where they're giving up huge yardage, the defense has been stellar in keeping those to those great field position possessions to maybe a field goal. Usually. So you had a play in the Raiders game where it was Josh McDaniels and the Raiders versus Belichick and the Patriots. What happened there? It looked like the Patriots were going to lose that game. They come back into it, and on a last-second play, choke. They try to do a lateral. Ramondre Stevenson, they relied a lot on him this season to kind of be this power running back, but it's like you can't win games just running. I mean, the Tennessee Titans have shown you that. As big and powerful and great as Derrick Henry is, you've got to throw the ball at some point. Tannehill has to throw the ball. They've got to have a decent receiver to throw to actually be dominant. And that's not that. New England has always been great when throwing the ball. Yes, they're great at running, but you can only do so many run plays before the defense is lax and say, hey, they've gashed us the whole game, we'll let them get these yards. But as long as they don't score in the end zone, we're doing our job. And the Patriots have not been great in the end zone, hence the D- or the D grade that I'm giving them. Mac Jones can throw the ball. Maybe he doesn't have the rocket arm that people expect, but he can throw the ball. That's why he replaced Cam Newton as the starter. They need to be coming up with plays that play to his strengths. I just don't. But again, that Raiders game, just like the Cincy game, they were pretty much the same game. Pats fall way behind because they can't score they can't get touchdowns in the first half of the game. They find a way to get lucky and get a couple. Right? Look at this Jacoby Myers play. You'll have to YouTube it because I don't have express written consent of the NFL to show it, but the ball was thrown to some other guy. I think his last name was Washington or something like that. I don't remember what his name is, but number 88 or something. Some unknown guy. My apologies, you're somebody, you're important, you're special, yada yada. The ball, he's a skill player. The ball was thrown to him in the end zone. He tips it because he can't catch it, and it lands right in Jacoby Myers' hands. Awesome. Now, I didn't get to watch the game in full. I was looking at highlights the whole way home. Driving home, I was able to look at what the scores were, and I was surprised that the Patriots were clawing back into that game. I expected Joe Burrow and company to be dominant, but again, New England Patriots, they're going to compete at least. Even if the game looks awful, they're going to try to keep the score respectable, and that's why I'm a fan still. Right? Belichick is going to say, hey, keep playing, keep poised, keep focused. Jones has not always kept poised, but you can see that there's some frustration there because he looks like he's regressing. That offensive line is a little nicked and banged up, and if Jones played better, and this is on him, if he played better, they could do so much more. But at the same time, Tom Brady threw that ball out 2.5 seconds. You can't expect Mac Jones to also do that. And if you do, you've got to have plays in your playbook that speak to that. So what are y'all doing over there? I know Belichick wants to take blame. A lot of us are looking at Belichick like, so you're just settling for mediocrity right now? I know you don't have Tom Brady. I know things are different, but no excuses. And I don't think he's sitting around saying he has excuses. He's saying he's the coach and it's all on him, but I've seen you get rid of players for nothing when things aren't working. But yet, you've got Patricia still there doing that. It's ridiculous, and there's no excuse for that. You need to move on from him as soon as possible. It feels like the season is already over, even though there's a chance for them to go to the playoffs. But if I'm being honest with you guys, I don't even want to see them in the playoffs. It would just be just another heartbreaker to watch. It's like, oh, they got in there and didn't deserve it. I'd rather see Miami go and be competitive against the Kansas City Chiefs than the Patriots go and just get stomped out by the Kansas City Chiefs. The Buffalo game where they got stomped out, it's like, okay, they'll be back and they'll be better, and they spent money and everything to try to be better. But, it's like, all you can do is sit back and just say, I'm happy for Josh Allen and the Bills for now, continuing the division dominance there and seeing Miami and everybody else. But it's like, Patriots, you feel like you're poking them with a stick. Like, come on, dude. Respond to this. Respond. And they're just not. So anyway, I'll end this rant here. It was a lot longer than I intended it to be. But go Pats. Don't care if you guys don't like it. I'm just kind of putting what I want to on the channel now. And I've kind of done that already, but what I'm saying is this could probably be like its own sports channel thing for those of you who don't care, but I'm not saying this is a new series or anything either. It very well could be, but I had to put it out there. The universe put it in me to put it out here. So let me know your thoughts, and I will see you in the next one.
Captain Sensation!